Yo, welcome to this hole where ain't no depth too deep. It's where the woke stay woke and the sleepers can't sleep. I'm Shaman Jamont, and I'm joined by my co-host,
You can ask me
Like
anything.
so,
Saxo. Tell these folks what's the thought today. You always come with
uh,
these good
we
topics.
top touching on a hot topic, buzzword right now. A lot of things people been discussing these days. Right now is a book of Enoch, fallen angels, and we're just gonna really much hash out things that we didn't learned on this subject and what we know on it and questions that we got, and just go from there. So, with that being in mind, where what is a fallen angel? Where does that come from?
Man, that's the craziest part because it's about to take people on a real deep mental ride, right? So in the story of the fallen, the ancient world, they understood something that today's religion had turned into basically a cartoon of mythology, right? Because you get the story of the fallen angels, it was never just about creatures that was falling out the sky with wings. That's what most people be hearing. So I just look at it like that shit ain't nothing but a surface interpretation. You get deeper and you find out into these mystery systems that these stories they metaphysically and symbolically. Now hear me carefully when I say this.
Just for people who not really familiar with it, start really from can you start really like from basically like from the beginning of who's fallen from where and why.
What's happening with the fallen angels is they agree with Lucifer. When you hear about a third of the heavens, the third of the angels that went with him, it was because then now you hear people saying he was kicked out of heaven and he was charged out of heaven. So he was charged out of the heavens, and that's where he was granted a home, which is earth, okay? So you can go to earth and you can translate earth and find out that it represents the word hell. So if you understand that, Lucifer was sent to hell. He was sent to the earth. But when his brethren and sisters, there's angels that got along with him and understood he was preaching a different message up there, like, hey, this ain't right, this ain't, but he was always clever enough to know things. You start to get these stories. You don't get this when you just not paying attention because you're getting whooped with some stories that's told to you a plain way and it's told all around the world in the same story. But when you get into other stories and you get into the book of Enoch, you start to understand deeper stories. You look at etymology, you look at all of this stuff that start making sense about how, oh, this missed me when I was in church. This missed me when I was in Bible study. This missed me when somebody told me the story. So when he was charged from the heavens, a third of the angels decided they was going with him. This isn't about nobody kicked out. These fallen angels to fall, basically they fell from a consciousness. That's when they took that, they descended from the heavens, okay? And when they came to this earth, they were punished. And you talk about why were they punished? Now that's where we get into, if you ever heard of the Nephilim, they were punished because what did they do? What did the angels do when they came to the earth?
They pretty much started. They made it with the humans. That was
Humans.
pretty much
Yeah.
started making the humans and the offspring of the fallen or the descending. And the offspring of them. They described as giants,
Yeah.
monsters.
The Nephilim.
Yeah, and
Demons.
yeah,
Demons. So
exactly.
a lot of
Yeah,
people get it
everybody
misconstrued.
demon.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh no, I was just saying like everything what people know to be a demon, that's what was born from those
Yeah.
descendant and fallen angels and the offspring of those and the women that they lay with. So yeah, they
Yeah.
was everything that you would imagine a demon being. That's what it was.
Yeah. So back to how the fallen slept with the women here. Punishment of that was you can't come back to these heavens unclean. Is how they felt. Like if you leave outside of right now, if you left outside of your home and you live with your mother and your father, and they had specific rules for what they considered to be clean. And let's say you went and made it with somebody outside of your tribe or something, and they didn't accept that, they wouldn't want your children there. They wouldn't want you there, because to them it was a disgrace. Like, it was a disgrace to your tribe. It was a disgrace to y'all for breeding with these people that weren't the same type of beings necessarily. Because you know, when you think about it, are angels supposed to be sleeping with humans? You get what I'm saying? So that's where you get the punishment that they was charged with, and that's why they fell from grace. They fell from that type of consciousness, because it's like the angels in the heavens, like, y'all know better than this. Y'all know better than this shit. What y'all doing down there mating with these women? What y'all doing down there mating with them ain't angels, you know? Like, that was the punishment. So now when we get deeper into the story, that's when we start understanding that this goes somewhere.
Oh no, I'm with you right there. I mean, you pretty much covered it all with that they was, you know, mating with the women, the offspring of those Nephilim, and pretty much then it gets into everything. Where it's going to dig into is everything that those Nephilim got into, what exactly those angels were teaching, the skills and knowledge that they was bringing that eventually led to the development of a lot of things, like pretty much everything that is considered a weapon of war.
Yeah.
Everything, a lot of, you know, different types of, because we don't have to get into that right now, but even when you start looking at things like the rocket in general, rocket science.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they say, you know, so they tell you it's not rocket science.
Not rocket science, right.
You know, well, a lot of people don't know, because how did they figure out how to make rockets fly like that?
Right.
They were doing satanic rituals, and they said it came to them in a satanic ritual. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a lot of people don't understand, like, that a lot of that's what these demons was always doing. You see what I'm saying? Always giving this knowledge of destruction, knowledge of just all kind of, pretty much,
now,
I can't explain the way I understand it. You know what I mean? But it's just like,
let me cut in right there. So you said what the demons was doing. That was not. So if we gotta describe what was going on, that's what the angels was doing. The fallen angels are not demons. That's what this whole thing is about. It's separating the category, because they fell, right? And when they fell, that meant they descent into density, to a lower vibration. They came into the third dimension. Okay, you are angel, you are a God. Now, these gods, it's a God in you, right? You hear it in the Bible. Is it John 10:32 or John 8:32? One of the two. For ye are gods, yeah. Well, anyway, and it's a couple times in the Bible, let you know that you are a God, right? We are these gods that are sleeping, you know, into this third dimension. So this is what we're doing. We descended, and you understand that the fallen descended, because the consciousness descended deeper into this material attachment. That's why the fallen beings, and especially in you got to look into many of these ancient stories, and you will find out that, all right, well, all the ancient texts tell us they became obsessed with this power. They became obsessed with flesh, because they're not flesh. They're not supposed to be in flesh. They became obsessed with dominating shit. They became obsessed with forbidden knowledge, giving forbidden knowledge to mankind, to humans. They became obsessed with control, with lust. They're not supposed to be down here having sex. They became obsessed with corruption. So that's when you find out the spirit became trapped in a lower vibration. Now, according to many of these apocryphal traditions, you got interpretations that surrounding, and it talk about the stories of the watchers. You can go from the biblical text, where it takes it to the book of Enoch. You start to understand these beings, they all descended and interfered with what people was doing. And it was improper to the angelic beings in heaven. They like, what in the is they doing? You get what I'm saying? Because they can see it. They know it. They sense it. So they started showing people here forbidden art. They started showing knowledge warfare. You know, they showing people how to go to war. They start showing them how to manipulate shit, how to do sorcery. They start showing them how to corrupt their consciousness. And now, whether it was literal, symbolic, or even mythological, you got to know it's a deeper teaching that was always about misused knowledge. Now that's important because
knowledge itself and what you do with it is.
Yeah, see? Yeah, you got it. See, the knowledge without the spiritual balance, it became destructive. Now, this right here is where it get real deep, because these offsprings, these demons, okay? These was often described as what you were saying earlier, giants, hybrids. These was the corrupted beings, okay? You can't say that the fallen was that because they bred that. If you take it back to the mystical interpretations, right, fam? What later became called demons, they weren't originally understood as red creatures with horns. No, hell no. We ain't talking about. See, this deeper esoteric, like this get on a level where you start to see a broken up consciousness, right? So the fallen is a bunch of disembodied lower energies, right? Because in the heavens, they had a higher conscience. They had higher energies. But when they were banished from the heavens, when you get out of there, you cut off from the divine alignment. So then now you start to see that they got this hungry psychic force that's trapped between these realms symbolically. Now, when you think about it in a metaphysical way, you would think that, okay, these demons, they're not just outside entities. See, some demons are frequencies. People don't understand that.
Exactly.
This demon is a frequency. It's an energy that's transformed. That's why you understand that when the demons were killed, that they were cursed to the earth. And what they do is they get inside of people, all right? So that's why hatred becomes demonic. It's something that it was one of their characteristics, one of their traits. That's why lust is demonic. That's why violence, without a conscience, it became demonic. So this shit mean that anything that consumes your consciousness and it disconnects from that higher awareness, it becomes a lower force, and it's operating through the individual. It's operating through you. Now you gotta hear this shit carefully. I'm about to break down.
No, I'm following.
You gotta understand that the ancients, this was before our time. They understood mythology. They understood this shit as a psychological thing. They understood that the fallen angel can only symbolize what was a higher intelligence that was corrupted by ego. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
See, that's pride, right? Because it's the main thing in many of these traditions. You know, I don't care if we're looking at Catholicism, we're looking at Christianity, or we even looking at Islam.
Yeah,
we're looking at how the mind rises, then falls through arrogance. So power without wisdom, shit, that's just corruption. That's just something that it falls. It's a collapse. But if we get a little bit deeper in this shit, right? You start to see that if I interpret this like this, the reason that people fear demons so much is because demons symbolically represent the aspects of your consciousness. So you know you could be corrupted by a conscious thing such as called a demon. You could be where people like, he got demons in him, she got demons in him. That's a demon inside of you, because that's what people refuse to confront this shit. They see it as greed, violence, envy, domination. You ain't got no, what they say, you at a void with God or whatever, without the Most High. You know what I mean? You spiritually empty. That's why you got like movies and shit like that. Hollywood to show you some horror imagery, right? You'll see that shit, and people fantasize with that, and they see like these monsters, right? And then, but it also show what mirror inside their inner condition. So now you got to understand, when this shit take a shift, we talking about demons in Hollywood. You get what I'm saying? We talking about demons in your lifestyle. You start to see like, hold on, because remember when like I said, when the Nephilim was forced to be killed, when they died, what happened? They spirits was forever to roam this earth and curse the earth. That's why these demonic frequencies are internally inside people every day. That shit come heavy from people having fear, people having rage. You mad? People ready to destruct some shit. People hate.
Exactly.
People.
But that's the thing. It's like all of those what you would call fleshly emotions is like a doorway.
You're damn right.
And that's really what a lot of people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
That people not getting the core understanding of what the Bible is really trying to tell people. And they don't really, you know what I'm saying, they don't get the core, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like, it's really trying to tell you that, it's telling you, God made your flesh is out of the dirt, it's out of the ground,
Mm-hmm.
but your spirit is from something higher. The breath of life, the spirit is something different that's in you. You see what I'm saying? And this is constant battle that everybody got between the spirit and the flesh. You know what I'm saying? The flesh is constantly making you want to do everything that's considered a sin. You see what I'm saying? But it's constantly pulling you down here. It's constantly keeping you here. You see what I'm saying? And that's really what it's literally trying to teach everybody. Like, for example,
I like how you put that.
Yeah, man. It's just
trying to teach them.
Yeah, man. Just at the end of the day, it's like a lot of people don't get that. You know what I'm saying? It's all about these energies that we talking about right here. These things like they telling you, like, when basically I can't, because it's too much to put into a short sentence. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to shorten it for the most part.
I get you.
But just long story short, it is that doorway. Those frequencies and those emotions that you got, everything from the jealousy, envy, the distrust, the hatred, like you said, any of those things that's gonna pull you into, or what they would say, out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Now you out of character because you let this emotion pull you. But then that emotion is attached to, like you said, it's these demons. They pull you through that. And so at the end of the day, as long as you attach to these fleshly desires, like, you know what I'm saying, you want to be loved, and you want to be powerful, and you want all these material things. You still, the more you want that, the more you pull to be into that demonic
frequency.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, most people worry about this some shit that it'll hurt them to know the truth. A lot of people worry about demonic shit that's outside of themselves, right?
Exactly.
But this is the part that's finna even make it more deep. If you worried about something that's outside of you while feeding the demonic frequencies that's inside of you, you're doing that every day.
Yeah.
We was talking about how people keep a sense of awareness about what a demon is, but without knowing that it's a demon inside of them.
Exactly.
It's a lot of people who want to play holier than thou, but you are displaying what we call a demonic trait. Because
but you gotta understand, like, no, I'm saying, my bad. What you were saying?
I'm listening.
Like, at its core, what created the demons in the first place?
Yeah. It's
mixing that ancient frequency with us. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because it was already in us. You see what I'm saying? That's what the flesh is. Your flesh is capable of all kind of. You see what I'm saying? If you give into it,
it's a war against the flesh. That's exactly what you're saying. See, the mystery schools had warned us about this. What you repeatedly feed, you strengthen. You ever heard of the story about there's two wolves inside of you? Which one lasts? Which one survives? The one you feed the most? The good one, the bad one? So the deeper spiritual teaching was never be afraid of monsters. No, the teaching was guard your consciousness carefully, because people can either rise towards some higher understanding, a higher awareness, a higher consciousness, or shit, we can descend just like the fallen did. They descended. Okay, they descended from consciousness. So when they fell from that, they fell from being aware of who they truly were. Because
they were from who
if
they
would
are.
have stayed closer to the Most High, they would have had more higher knowledge, more higher frequencies. But when they fell to the third dimension, they were between a higher and a lower nature. Now, this is the shit that we talk about. See how I'm bringing up the mystery systems. If we talking about it exists inside of all of us, it exists between these two possibilities. You got your higher self seeking to align with wisdom, balance, awakening, trying to remember who you was, and you know when you came from the cosmos, when you come from a star, when you come from a planet, when you come from Sirius B, Sirius A, wherever you come from, your divine remembrance. And then you got the lower self that's seeking chaos. It's being consumed. It's being dominated. It's trying to dominate. It's full of ego. And then that tension right there is inside of every single being. Every single body you look at is dealing with some type of demonic force, whether they know it or not. Whether, see, the real question, it was never really, did fallen angels exist? Because if you can't understand that, you can't understand the world that you live in, the worldly experience. But this the deeper part that I want to ask you right here. Most people, all right, they see this thing about a consciousness, and they see that, okay, this thing that I'm doing right now, thinking, it makes me aware of something. But you disconnected from something if you don't know why you're thinking what you're thinking. You get what I'm saying? Most people don't know that you need to rise consciously or you separate from the soul. It ain't like the damn falling just cracked open the sky all at once and everybody just fell, every being just fell. No, we talking about something that's old as time. This is before kings wore crowns. This is before things existed where people couldn't understand what was going on. This is what set the stage. This is before we existed. This was when the stars was closer. You get what I'm saying? So it was old tribes that believed shit that the heavens had breath to give. You know what I'm saying? Like the heavens gave life to everything is what I'm saying. So when you start to understand that, you would understand that what I was meaning to get at is the watchers. Because you got watchers all around that was looking at this world that we live in and just watching silently. See, you got to understand that they watch as that moonlight. They watch as parts of the wind. They watch as thunder. They watch as water. They watch as all these. These are the watchers. The watchers are the elements. The watchers are the energies that's around us. That's what the watchers are. The watchers is watching everything in any form because they got the power to do that. It's a consciousness thing where they strong enough to know that I'm watching you through the water. I'm watching you through this tree. I'm watching, but you don't understand that shit because you had such a low vibration where you steady dealing with chaos. You steady dealing with evil, steady dealing with poison and toxin and all the other things. Well, you can't understand it. You can't understand what a demon is because the demon is in you. You don't understand yourself. It's a bunch of this kind of shit going on because it's a bunch of this shit kind of going on because a lot of people failing to understand what is actually into these books that they were drunk on. You get what I'm saying? You were teaching this, or you were taught this thing, or you understand it, but you understand the shit wrong. You start to understand that, okay, why do I do good and bad? Why do I do both? You get what I'm saying? Why do I do good and bad? Well, shit, you think that the fallen didn't do good and bad? You think that as above, so below? I had to tell somebody this today. We was having this conversation, and they like, well, why was this happening up there, and why is things happening down here? I said, because as above, so below. It's chaotic up there, and it's chaotic down here. You got shows that'll show you that. You had shit when Hollywood put in your face with Star Trek, Star Wars. What they at? They had galactic wars, right? You seeing what's going on. You see this story, but now you get shit you had to understand from the giants and the Nephilim. You see that these massive in stature creatures was down here being chaotic. It was chaotic shit happening up there as well. That's why they had to fall. That's why they had to descend, because if somebody in your house on some bullshit, what happened? They got to go. You got to go. Y'all got to get out of here with that bullshit. So you got to understand. Go ahead.
You right on the spot right there.
Yeah, most definitely. Shit, if you come to my house tripping, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put your ass out, or it's finna get some furniture moving. It's finna be some real furniture moving. You feel me?
And then you getting it.
But seriously, you gotta understand before anything can happen. You gotta understand there's a balance to this shit. It's a good, it's a bad. You know, you got good, you got evil.
And that's what the a lot of people don't understand what that yin yang sign is. I'm saying that's what the yin and yang is. You see it like the complete one, you'll see a black side with a white dot, and a white dot, and a white side with a black dot.
You got it.
And what it mean is it's the bad and the good within the bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's really what they teach you. It's the
And I'm
energy
glad that you understand that.
constantly chasing, and it's like that's why it looks like a swirl. It's constantly switching and changing and chasing each other. The good within the bad and the bad within the good. It's just the energy that's constantly. That's what we're constantly battling. That's what everybody constantly battling. Your flesh and your spirit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The higher your consciousness is, the stronger your spirit, and the more it's gonna win over your flesh. You know what I'm saying? Because the flesh is weaker than the spirit.
That's very much true. That's
For real, baby.
You're right when you say that, because when I say we at a war with the flesh, it's because you are a spirit, you are a soul that's inside of this flesh, and you battling these fleshly ways. You battling being a person that's full of fear. You battling being a person that's full of rage, being a person that's full of lust and despair. All this stuff is what ruins the ego of the soul. You get what I'm saying? Because the soul ain't too much attached to the ego, but the soul knows to maintain a pure balance of harmony. But when you inside of the flesh, that's when the soul got to wear the costume, baby. The soul is inside of the costume. The soul is now inside this costume we call a body. Exactly. So that's when the soul has descended, then become just as the Father.
No, for real. That's literally called the body of the vessel. It's literally just a transport vehicle. That's really what the body is. It's a transport vehicle. You see what I'm saying? And then the spirit that's within it, that's the light, that's the consciousness, that's the part of us that's the soul. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And so it's like, for example, like when people say like ignorance is bliss, I feel like I do not agree with that. I think
it's some things it's bliss, but go ahead. I'm seeing where you're going with this.
Oh no, you're good,
You
man.
You don't agree with ignorance is bliss, and I want to know why though.
Because I feel like, well, maybe it's more of a spectrum, because I feel like you can be blissful because you're ignorant. But then when you get to a point when you start to really know truth, I feel like it's like happiness is just a result of knowing the truth. And what is that truth that I'm talking about? For example, let me back up a little bit before I go there. When people go through anything, when they go through anything bad, when they're in pain, what's the first thing they say? Why? They ask why over and over again.
Yeah.
And in pain until they get understanding. Yeah. And what's the understanding? The understanding is that you got to let go. You attach to this fleshly world, this fleshly understanding. You want money, you want power, you want love, you want clout, you want all these things that the flesh won't make you want. But as soon as you let go, that's where the bliss is. Yeah. You're not attached to these things that's, you see what I'm saying, that make you say why. Yeah. When anytime you lose somebody, you say why. Right.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? That's the first thing you say, like why? Because you don't understand. Your first thought in the ignorance is like, I don't understand why I have to deal with this loss.
Yeah, that's true.
You see what I'm saying? But when you eventually get to a point, you know what I'm saying, of understanding, when you get to a point where you like, that was the point from the beginning. Yeah. You love you're supposed to live, love, learn, and then you leave.
Say that again and slow it down one more time, baby. I love that.
You live, you learn, you love, and then you leave. You're not supposed to be attached to these things. All these people want to put all this money in their coffin, and people want to stack all this money and that they can't spend after they die, and you want to build up this clout that dies when you die. You know what I'm saying? The more you attach yourself to them things, the more unhappy you're gonna find yourself. That's the why that everybody asks. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. When you get to a point when you really start to learn the real truth of what the Bible is really trying to teach us. You see what I'm saying? It's like your flesh is begging for everything in this world, and it wants you to be the king of it. You see what I'm saying? Your flesh wants to be the king of this world, wants you to have everything, own everything, be the man, be loved by everybody, have everything in this world. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But your spirit is telling you to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you do, you see what I'm saying? The moment you do, it's like, hey, all of that shit don't matter.
At all.
You know what I'm saying?
At all. And I agree with that shit 100%, man.
No, for real. The only thing that matters is the love and the knowledge. That's the only thing that matters. You see what I'm saying? And the more we zero down on that feels like that erases the pain. And that's why I disagree with ignorance and bliss. Because I feel like whoever said that didn't know the truth.
Yeah.
That's why they felt that way.
Yeah, you know what? I think the greatest destruction, it didn't start with no monsters. You get what I'm saying? I think it started with these sacred beings that believed wisdom minus obedience. It made them gods, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to do what they wanted. And from that pride, right, you start to see, okay, that's what ruined they heaven, they earth, and hell, everything else. Because you look at it like, if these heavenly beings rebelled, they came from heaven. Then they descended to earth, right?
Right.
Then they produced this offspring that's the Nephilim, right? Then the offspring became violent. They became corrupt. Then they died. But then they got these restless spirits, because it ain't over. They got these restless spirits which become what we know as demons. So,
and I feel on that subject, it's just that's the reason why the fallen were cast out.
mm-hmm.
Those creations were abominations and were never supposed to exist.
Yeah.
You got the angels that were created by God.
Yeah.
And you got us that was created by God.
Right.
He never intended for those to mix. Every demon that existed was an abomination.
Well, look at it like this. I don't mean to compare us to dogs or something like that, but
No, you good. I'm with you.
if you look at, say we looked at a cane corso and say a Sharpei, or even a little poodle, Chihuahua, and you mix a corso with a Chihuahua, naturally those animals wasn't bred to be with each other. You get what I'm saying? But if you breed them and somebody see it as that dog ain't supposed to be with that dog. Now comparing us to dogs, but I'm making an example out of this right here.
Yeah, like good.
To them, it's an abomination to their eyes to see, why would you mix a dang on Cane Corso with a dang Chihuahua? And that's what it was in my mind, definitely, for, the angelic beings. Go ahead.
No, you good. I feel like it was more like, to use your dog scenario, like a Cane Corso and what was the other dog?
Chihuahua.
Okay, yeah. Cane Corso and a Chihuahua. That's more like an African and a Hispanic. You know what I'm saying? These abominations was like a dog and an octopus. And these beasts, they were offsetting the balance, the natural balance of what God created. They destroyed too much. They ate too much. They wanted to. You see what I'm saying? They offset the entire balance of the way everything was set up to be. They were just abominable in every way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so in that way, where you got like this dog octopus thing. You see what I'm saying?
Now let's understand this right here. Some traditions, right? When you hear about them describing the fallen angels, they talk about them being in prison. They bound beneath the earth. They chained in this darkness. They waiting for judgment. But the idea. Okay, so the story. It takes places in a lot of places. You got it in the second epistle of Peter. You got it in the epistle of Jude. In the book of Enoch. So look at it in Jude, right? So you think about how it speak about angels who left left their proper place of stance wherever they were supposed to be, right? They left their habitat. Then you look at 2 Peter, and they start talking about how they was cast in the chains of darkness. Now, I'm going a little bit of place with this right here. If we looking at this theology, right, we like, okay, them different interpretations. That shit don't even go together. So which were they? You know what I'm saying? Were they bound in the darkness, or were they put in these chains? You know what I'm saying? But the literal fallen angels, we know that they bred with people, produced these Nephilim. Yeah, but then when you start looking in the interpretation of Seth, that's when we start figuring shit out. Like, they said these were sons of God. You know, they was ancient kings, demigods, corrupted bloodlines, chaotic spirits, who had all this knowledge of forbidden wisdom passed around, sprinkling it. Now you just not telling what you know up there. You telling what you can breed down here. You producing a whole new world within the world. So we start looking at this mysticism. We start looking at apocryphal texts. We start looking at all these traditions, fantasy, literature, all this shit. And then we look at today's media. This shit start to line up.